Morning, afternoon, evening. Welcome to Burp Vision with me, Fieros Reborn. Uh, am I Fieros Reborn, or is that the name of the channel? Uh, um, I feel like I'm making gross noises. I am making gross noises. Obviously, I burped twice. What are you gonna do? You're over there. I'm here. By the time you get to watch this, I'm long gone, mate. I'm off in bed having a wank, so or whatever. So you can't do anything about that, I'm afraid. So that is an exercise in whatever you call it. I don't know what you call it. Letting go of the surrender. Letting go of the reins. You non-judgment, acceptance, freedom of allowing another human being to burp, allowing the burps. So I suppose I should do a Fieros' story time again. Oh man. This is going to be one of those slower ones. Yesterday was one of those up tempo, bing 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 type of ones. But this one, I feel like I'm only doing a video just now because if I don't do it, I'll feel mildly insane and I probably won't be able to sleep. Yeah, because I've just got this feeling inside like that I need to let off some kind of steam of some kind. I've had my eyes been twitching like all afternoon and evening, and I actually feel like I want to throw up a little bit. Something to do with the energy of. Oh my god! See, I need to let out. I need to express. Something to do with the energy of the house at the moment. It's a bit stifling. Even though my mum's not even here, my mum would normally bring that feeling of stifleness. Yeah, but I also feel like my face looks whiter than normal, and I've not done anything different apart from go for loads and loads of turds today. That's the key to fresh-looking skin. Is like I feel like my skin complexion has smoothed up just from going for about 10 fucking turds. Oh man. Yeah, I'm gross. What are you gonna do? I feel like I look like Sonic. Did I say my eyes been twitching? Sonic is like, for me, he looks like higher consciousness. He looks like a supreme being of consciousness. And I feel like something is the same between he and I. Do you see that? So I'm trying to get towards being like Sonic. Because I realised that before, right? When I was wearing the Sonic hat, Sonic is all bright. He looks pretty bright there. And then I used to look dull in my face. No matter what the lighting, I would always look like I was less fresh than Sonic. And I'm like, I've got to be as fresh as Sonic. That's my goal in life, to be as fresh as a hat. Oh man. Yeah, so I just got this kind of this it's gross energy, and it's all smoking stuff. I wish I'd never started smoking. It's all emotional stuff that got gammed up inside my body and didn't have expression because I was sucking in smoke instead of expressing my feelings. So the smoking thing, whatever you call it, cigarette, was like a dummy, a pacifier, pacifying my freedom of expression, pacifying me, like shutting me the fuck up when I should be saying things instead. And what that means is that apart from the other health detriments that happen from the smoking, I also have emotional detriments, and I have an emotional backlog to clear, basically, of like, yeah, emotions that got stuck and never got expressed. So now I feel emotionally stale, is what I'm feeling at the moment, and my sweat smells stale. Sorry, this video is gross, That's how I feel. I don't feel gross overall, but there are parts of me that do feel gross. My belly today just felt really gross. My butthole has been in pain as I poo. Why am I pooing so much? Yeah. So good for you if you got this far and you haven't thrown up. um, yeah, this is just gross. And yeah, I look very, very fresh in the face there. And the hair even looks more sort of bright. I don't know. I don't know how that's happening. It must be because of the cleanse. I'm cleansing. I'm eating a lot of soup because I want to lose weight. And I figure soup is easy if I eat a lot of vegetable soup. And also even the meat soups, they don't really have that much meat in them, to be fair. They've like got tiny little chunks of it. So cream of chicken soup is like these tiny little bits of chicken. And then you got beef broth. Beef broth. Try and say that a few times quickly. Beef broth. We've got the beef broth, and you've got the Scotch broth. Beef broth, beef broth, Scotch broth. Oh fuck. Try that. Beach broth, Scotch broth. Beef broth, Scotch broth. Say that. Those 4 words. Beef broth, beef broth, Scotch broth. Beef broth, Scotch broth. Beef. Oh man, that laugh was like a little tune as well. Right, beef broth. Woo, come on. Beef broth, Scotch broth, beach. Why do I keep saying beach? Spoth, beach broth. Come on. Beef broth, Scotch broth, beach broth, bosh brush, screech, beef broth, Scotch broth, beach, foff. Fuck you people, fuck this. I'm gonna get tins. Beach? No, not beach. Oh man. Can you see me from there? Oh, I can. Oh, well, I don't have those ones, did I? Maybe that's why I didn't buy those ones this time. Hold on. No, I don't have them. Maybe that's why I didn't buy them on this round of soup buying. Look at my tits. I've got tits. I've not had tits before. Oh, my belly. Oh, it's got fat again. Yesterday I was slim. And for about 5 minutes today I was slim. But the rest of the time I just felt full and fat and bloaty. I'm going to keep that door open as well because I need to let out the gross energy. Okay, so last time on Fieros' story time. Dun, 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 get ready. We're going into there now, so get your mind prepared. We're going back into the echelons of the past. I don't actually know what echelons means. Let's use the dictionary. Pardon me on the bum. That hurt my bum hole. I should let you know that. Frilled lizard. Large arboreal insectivorous Australian lizard having an erectile fold of skin around the neck. Boop, he's got a bone on the neck. Good lord. Okay, what is it called? Echelons. Echelons. The upper echelons of society. Did I even say the word echelons? Yes. Eskimo. No. Esophagus. Esoteric. Eschew. Ooh. I don't know how to spell it either. Echelons. Eschatology. Oh. Well, egg. No, that's not on the same page. Echelons. Echelon. Erotica. Eroticism. Echelon. Apparently I've got no filter. That's not true. I do have a filter. You know, the old mouth filter. I do have a filter because there are other stupid things in the head that I decide not to say. It usually happens right at the last second that I decide not to say them. Echelon! A level of command, responsibility. Oh, that's not right then, is it? A formation in which units follow one another. No, I've totally used the wrong word. I'm going back to the old eons. Eons ago. Eons and eons back into the past. The echelons of the past. Okay, so I was speaking about being homeless yesterday. On the streets of New York. I spoke about. Let's try and speak English, shall we? I spoke about a few different homeless people who I spent some time with on the street, speaking to them, and there's some interesting patterns in my tea that look like it's some kind of Australian rock. Maybe with an insectivorous. Look at that. It's like Ayers Rock there. Not the bit at the front, the bit at the back. See that? It's cool, isn't it? It looks like some kind of Australian scenery. Okay. Or Grand Canyon, I don't know. So I was talking about the various homeless people that I spent some time with on the street. Talking to one bloke about how the Lord had broken the staff of the wicked. And I thought, yeah, that's very good in that sense, isn't it? If that is true. And while we're on the topic of homeless people, I'm just going to talk a little bit more about various homeless people that I spent time with. When I say spent time with, I don't mean I kind of hung out with them necessarily. I mean that I interacted with them, let's say that. So there was this one woman who was a bit mad, and she would always speak to me as I went past her, and she was always out on the street, and she would always ask me the same thing, with money, to do with money, but it would always be in exactly the same way, and always with the same story about it, and always she would forget that she'd asked me, even though every time I started to tell her that no, I don't know if I did this or not. It's so hard to remember what actually happened, but I believe at least on a few occasions that I said, "You've already asked me this, or you've already told me this." I remember her. She used to look me in the eye with this really pleading kind of thing, like, "I'm all alone on the street," and I'm like thinking, "You're such a fucking blagger." Like, yeah, the facts are the facts, but the way you're doing it and putting on this whole big, like you're a 3-year-old kid asking for sweets or something from their mum. I was like, no, I'm not buying into that facade that you're putting on, the whole guilt trip. And maybe I sound really harsh about homeless people, but after speaking to a lot of them and getting to know their tricks, you start to see through it quite quickly, because you realise that a lot of the people on the street are playing an act, even if they might not know they're playing an act because they're so used to playing that act that they've developed this victim mode, and they put that on either consciously, on purpose in order to get money, or they don't even know that they're doing it, and it's just become so habitual and ingrained that they are constantly pretending to be one way when they're not. And it comes with a lot of repetition. It's where they repeat the same story every time, the same tone of voice, and the same way of requesting. And they're not actually having a genuine conversation with you. They're not genuinely asking you particularly. To them, you are another street person who may or may not, most likely not, but may give them some money or some food or whatever it is they ask for, a drink or something. So I am for me, it's not about whether they're in a bad situation or not, okay? I accept that they are in a bad situation. But what I disagree with or find difficult to deal with is all the lying around it, and how, from a homeless person's perspective, you are in the position as a homeless person, because I've been in that position. I was never long-term homeless, but I have been homeless on a few different occasions in a few different places, and spent a lot of time with other homeless people and got to know how it works a little bit, I suppose. Not fully all the ins and outs, and I didn't get involved in the drug culture around it, and the drinking culture. I never got involved in that, but I certainly had some first-hand experience of being homeless myself, and also in conversation with other homeless people. And it's mainly a racket. It's a racket. It's a scam. It's a light level of scam. You know, the consequences are not that big, Although there are some homeless people who are working it as a job. We've read that in the paper, and I know of homeless people who earn quite good money, and they are specifically working it as they call it the beg. They're on the beg, or other words that I can't think of right now, the hustle or something. It is a job of sorts. It is earning. They see it as earning. Yeah. So, what am I trying to say here? I'm trying to say that don't take people's presentation of themselves as fully accurate. And I mean that with all people. Like, be willing to ask further questions to clarify the situation if necessary, if you feel you wish to, right? And it really gives you a good bullshit filter being on the street, I tell you that much, because you see people say one thing and then act another way, or you see people tell a certain story and then say exactly the same thing to the next person, and it's like, well, nothing genuine is happening here. It's just a racket. This is just a sales call. This is just a script that they're using over and over and over and over and over again. And it's the nature of the situation that I suppose forces people to do it that way, because it's just too difficult to say something new every time or to have a genuine interaction with people. So what am I trying to... I'm trying to get at something here, and I've not quite nailed it. Which is... oh, I don't know. Well, because part of this homelessness experiment that I was doing was trying to be genuine at all times and finding that people were treating me very badly because they'd put me in a category as the homeless person category or the beggar category. And so from the other person's point of view, from the person who is a potential donator or give me something, from that person's point of view, I tended to be like a scum type of, on that level of scum, very low status, yeah? And so when you can see that this is happening, that people treat you differently and see you differently just because of your position in the social hierarchy, you start to have less respect for the social hierarchy at all, because you think, oh, this is all a sham. This whole social hierarchy thing is just a concoction of ways that we can feel superior and inferior to other people, and it's all bollocks. Because I know of my decency and my dignity as a human being, and I know of my equality with all human beings, and yet because of my social position in those cases when I was homeless, people were treating me as though I wasn't equal to them and that I had no dignity and so on. But it was the nature of the situation that I was in that meant that this is what I had to do if I was going to survive. So it's I don't know what to say about it, really. I'm still trying to get what I'm trying to say across. Like, why am I always having to go at homeless people? I'm always having to go at homeless people. I'm like, I never speak particularly highly of them. And I think it's because I want to clear up various misconceptions about what it is to be homeless, from my personal experience. And I can't speak for everyone, of course, and I can't speak for every situation, and I can't speak for everyone else's experience, but I can speak from my experience, and I'm making wild generalizations about it. Okay. But that's what I can do from where I've been and what I've seen and what I know. Yeah, I guess what I'm trying to bring about is a sense of clarity. So when you are being asked by a homeless person, if they're giving you their story, their sob story, or their sales pitch, whatever, or their kind of reasons why you should be giving them money, then I would, as a potential donator, probe a little further. Or it just depends, actually, whether I feel like giving it or not, if I feel generous or not. But my point here is it's not even about the giving or the not giving. It's where is the honesty here? Where is the truth here? Where is the truth in this interaction? Where is the genuineness in this interaction? Am I connecting with an actual person here on the other end? Or is this person putting up a massive fake persona in order to manipulate me to give them money? And I still don't feel I've nailed it either. I'll tell some more stories and we'll see what happens. So when I was homeless in New York, I was having to beg for food. One time I went into a restaurant and I asked the guy whether he had, like, one of the restaurant guys, whether it's a manager or a head waiter or someone, or the guy on the host, one of the hosts, or I don't know who was exactly in the position of the place, but he was a working person there, someone who worked there. I asked him if they had any food that they were going to throw away. Oh, same story. If they had any food that they were going to throw away that they couldn't sell, or that if they just had any food that they could give to me, because I'm homeless and because I need some food and I'm hungry. So it's like I was trying to hold myself to some moral standard of not being manipulative and just telling the truth and just stating the situation and then asking if they could help or not. And not fabricating some extensive guilt trip around it and just say, look, this is what it is. This is my situation. And I am hungry. And do you have any food for me? And not making it into any, oh, I've been wronged by society. No, this is just a clarity of interaction here. I'm just telling you the actual truth, and I'm just asking you genuinely, being to being, human to human, person to person, can you help me? And if you can't, you can't. If you can, you can. It's not the end of the world if you can't. But if you can, that's amazing. I was really trying to be non-manipulative in my way of approaching people and just asking, just a genuine ask from the genuine needs that I had, right? Based on the genuine position that I was in. It's a genuine situation I was in, yeah? And what I found, let's go back to this restaurant example that I'm trying to get through. So what I found was this guy, he didn't believe me that I was English, and he asked to see ID. And I'm like, I've just spoken to you with an English accent. Why you want me to prove that I'm English? Because why? Like, if I'm American, does that mean you're not going to give me the food? But if I'm English, you will give me the food. Like, why does it matter? What I just found this very. He looked down on me so much because I was asking him for some help, and he had this sort of very superior, like, air about him, like looking down at me like, oh, why should I bother helping you, kind of scum thing, right? And it was horrible. Eventually he did actually get me a full roast dinner, right? And it's like, why you've put me through this demeaning ritual of, like, looking as though you're going to spit on me at any minute and grilling me about the facts of my situation. And what have I just been saying about you should probe someone about their situation? But the way he was doing it was just very like he just had this kind of lofty, down looking, disgusted face on him. And in my situation, I was very vulnerable and I was very open to the elements, for one thing, and open to the rejection of people. If this person said no, then I would have to go somewhere else, and it was cold and I was hungry, and this is hard. This is a hard situation to be in. It's not just easy, oh, I'm going to just buy some food with the money I have in my pocket, which might take me 5 minutes to go to a shop. or whatever it is and get some food. Or if I was in the restaurant, I might just have the money and sit down and pay for it, and it'd be very simple. But trying to negotiate just a free exchange, because I was in desperate need of food based on the desperate position that I was in. And this guy was like very, very, what do you call it? Reticent. He was not forthcoming, and wanted to jump me through all kinds of different proof hoops. Ooh. Wanted me to jump through various different proof hoops to prove that I was genuine, I suppose. And that does tie in a way, doesn't it, to what I was saying earlier on? Like, so, because what I was saying earlier on is that I would do that to a homeless person. So maybe I've taken this on from this kind of treatment that I got given when I was homeless, to be more reserved. I don't look down on homeless people. I just don't buy bullshit. I don't look down on people who are homeless because they are homeless. I just will or won't give to them based on what I think is the truth of their situation. If they're lying to me, then I might not give to them based on the lie, but I might give to them based on my own personal feeling of generosity at that moment, if that makes sense. So I still don't know what I'm trying to fucking say. Let's carry on with the fucking restaurant story. So I was in there feeling like shit, feeling small, feeling ashamed of myself, feeling like this guy wanted to kill me actually as well, feeling like he was very negative towards me, feeling like I'd come there, I'd offer myself up as in help me please Lord type of thing, help me, and I was being smoten down. And this is not the first instance, but I'll tell this story because this is a good example, and then I'll tell more of them as well. So yeah, and he just sort of sneered at me, and then got someone to go and make me some food, or got me some food that they weren't going to sell or something. I don't know what exactly it was, but it was a full roast dinner, and it was in a little like tin foil plate thing with foil wrapped on top. And I thought, thank God, and I said thank you so much, and then he was just like, get out, just get out of here, like basically kicked me out kind of thing. And I'm like, fuck. I mean, thank you on the one hand, they're so grateful for that. Like, oh my God, you don't understand how grateful you can be when you haven't eaten for a long time. Okay, it's a very, very grateful feeling. What it was for me anyway. And so, yeah, but then, and on the other hand, he's like just really rough treating me verbally and just sneering at me and wanting to get rid of me kind of thing. And I feel like it's abusive to do that to someone who's just asked for help. It's just a simple kind of yes or no, I think, in that situation. Like, no, we don't do that, or being a bit more friendly. Okay, what's the situation? Tell me a little bit more, just so that I can feel like I'm being justified in my actions. You know, a bit more friendly or openness, or that kind of accepting approach, but not just rejecting me and trying to push me away as much as possible, and then finally saying, okay, fine, you scum, you can have your fucking food. You know, it's just like, what was the point of putting me through all the horribleness and then still ended up giving me the stuff anyway? Like, why don't you just say yes to begin with and don't be such an arsehole to me? Okay, next one. Let's talk about the orange. So I was begging again because I had no money and because I had no food. So I had to beg. And I feel as though I was on the way to Baton Rouge, or coming back from Baton Rouge, I'm not sure. I was on the Greyhound bus and I needed food because I was hungry, because I hadn't eaten for ages, because I didn't have any money. Right? And I was asking people for like food and stuff. And I sat outside this. They had kind of baked goods and fruit. They're like fruit smoothies. They were making fruit smoothies, and they had like baked goods stuff like twists and croissants, you know, the kind of cheese twists and pastry type things in this little shop in a. I feel like it was in a service station, as I was on the bus route to get either to or from Baton Rouge, from New York, or to New York, whatever. Yeah, and so I was kind of I don't know what I was doing really. I didn't really know how to beg. I'm not very good at begging, you know. It wasn't my forte. I had previously gone into another shop in the same complex because we were waiting for our bus driver to refuel or something. We're having a break because it was a long bus journey. It was like 24 hours or more, 36 hours even, I think it could have been. I won't check it now, but I'll check it later. Yeah, to get from Baton Rouge to New York, or vice versa, the other way around. Yeah, so we had to stop. So we stopped at the service station, gas station, and all the other little shops that are in there. And so I went into one of them and just asked them the similar sort of question, you know, like, do you have anything that you can't sell or that you could give to me for food because I'm hungry and I'm homeless and I have no money. All facts, all true, and not playing up anything big about it, you know, not making myself appear as more desperate than I was or less desperate than I was, just very kind of simple, direct. This is the clarity of the situation, and this is what I need and what I'm asking for. And if you can help me, you can. If you can't help me, you can't. Simple as that. And so this person in this shop, the first person, she was a lady, and she was behind the till counter to begin with. And I went and asked her, and I could already feel this sense of, oh, this is not going to go well. You know, you just get the tightness in your chest and that feeling of pain. Call it the pain body. You start to get an anxious feeling, or this feeling of energy starts going through your body, like a negative energy, like, oh God, you know, this is not a good situation. This is a negative situation is occurring right now. There's not a sense of clarity here in the emotional body. It's a bit of a turmoil is happening. Okay, fuck, I've approached the wrong person. This is not going well. And she was just very, very harsh, and she said, no, get out. How dare you come in here asking me for this? She may have called me names as well, like some kind of scum or bum or beggar or scrounger or hobo or something. And she sort of, she didn't touch me, like she didn't push me or anything, but she sort of shooed me out basically of this shop. And it's like, I'd never been treated like this before by people. And what is it on the basis of? On the basis of having asked for something without offering money, so without giving them money, but asking for some help, right? So is that really warranted to treat someone like that just because they've asked you that? You know, I mean, it's not as though I was asking without a genuine reason and without the need for it. You know, obviously, if I had the money, I would have bought something, but I did not have the money, and I was hungry, and as in not just a little peckish because because I haven't had a snack yet. You know, it's because I'm homeless, because I don't have money, because I haven't eaten in a long time, and it's unsure whether I will be able to eat because I don't have any money and I have no income and no way to get further money, and no one is going to be giving me random money. I don't have a job. I'm homeless, right? Does this make sense to you? Um, and I'm here in this situation, miles away from home, with no support system, no resources. Can you help me? Yes or no? And what you get is a shooing out. Go away, how dare you come in here? Like, as though I had been the most offensive person in the world to her by asking for some help for being in a difficult situation. So it's very bizarre how people can be when you are in a vulnerable, genuine, needy situation, desperate situation. How people can use that to just be an asshole to you. Right, so that was that one. Then the one, so I moved along and I went to like the what's it called? the like bakery type thing with the smoothies and stuff, right? And I was just sat there. I was pretty much bummed by what had just happened with this. I've just realised I've had my hand in my crotch the whole time, and that might look a bit weird. Look like what am I doing down there? I'm not doing anything. I was just holding it there. Not holding my computer. I wasn't holding anything. Now I sound like I'm trying to hide something. Okay, come on. So I don't know what I was doing there. As in, I was bummed out. I was bummed out from the last thing, because that had really affected me. Like that just really got to me. How I just felt so abused by this person who, again, the same situation. I'm just telling the truth. I'm not trying to manipulate you here. Like I'm not trying to sort of get something from you that I that I don't need, for example. I'm not trying to big anything up and overblow the situation, and yet I'm still getting treated like I'm some malicious attacker in that way. It's like I'd trampled and violated her somehow by asking her for help. And like, what? And then I'm getting shooed out of a shop. And I specifically, my approach was a very truthful, open, vulnerable approach. I wasn't using a script. I wasn't saying the same thing every time. It might sound like I was, but I was approaching each person and just genuinely asking them from the truth of that moment, this is the situation, can you help me? Right? I know I realise I've said this a lot now, but yeah, so I was bummed. I was really bummed. I was kind of just dejected, felt rejected, downtrodden, and kind of, oh God, because not only am I hungry now, I'm also depressed, and my energy has gone right down because of this difficult, high intensity emotional interaction that I've just had with this person who's shooed me out of her shop and saying that she'll call the police if I stayed in there. So, like, she was like properly shooing me out and telling me to get out, and how dare I even come in there, asking her and that she would call the cops if I stayed, or if I asked her, if I didn't leave immediately. Kind of like, fucking hell, just for asking if there was anything that she could give me for free, kind of thing. Oh my God. Which is why I think begging laws should be changed, that it should be legal. It should be okay to beg. It should be okay to beg. It should not be against the law to beg, because that is I think it's against us. It's like against a human right, because if you're in a situation where you are hungry, then not begging may kill you. So the law is killing you. So fuck the anti-begging laws and vagrancy acts and stuff like this. Just fuck all of that. It's so inhumane. All those laws are so inhumane. I don't see the point of them. And plus, if those laws are there and they're not immediately backed up by a support system that can help people who are in the position where they have to beg and help them immediately, then the law is irresponsible as well. The law is cruel and irresponsible, harsh, and inhuman and inhumane to have begging laws, anti-begging laws, anti-vagrancy, anti-homelessness type of laws, and that kind of thing. So that's my position on that, if you're interested. And yeah, I think it's wrong, and it's basically some kind of way of trying to maintain a social hierarchy and trying to maintain a financial hierarchy of sorts, and it's disgusting. They should be, all anti-begging laws should be removed, I think, personally. Amen. Okay, so I'm trying to tell the next part. So the next part was this bakery thing, right? And I was already bummed out and trying to work my energy up to the next thing. What am I going to do now? I feel like shit. Maybe I shouldn't have asked. Maybe I shouldn't be begging. Maybe I should just starve, stuff like that. And then I worked my way up to be able to ask someone. again, and I went through this what's it called? Like, this bakery thing. Yeah. And I even contemplated stealing things. I never actually stole anything. Actually, I never stole anything in a baking context. I stole a bottle of water one time, but that was a very strange situation, which I'll have to tell another time. Um, I stole that from a hotel. Does that really count? Yes, it does count. But it wasn't because I needed it. It was because I was being. It was because I was just being a renegade naughty boy. And that was a completely different situation. Anyway, yeah. But I was contemplating stealing some items or stealing something because I was getting that desperate. I was like, oh, I feel like Aladdin, and I need to nick bread, or just I need something because I'm gonna fucking die if I don't get some food. But I didn't. And whenever I was in a begging situation, I've never stolen anything. All right, let's just do an admission of the things I've stolen in my life, then, shall we? Fine. I stole some pound coins when I was at primary school from the lunch trolley till thing, the till in the lunch hall thing, because I was a lunch trolley monitor, and they had the till there, and they'd left coins in the till overnight, and the till was open with the coins in it. So I stole some pound coins with a bunch of other people of the same lunch trolley monitor position as I was. It was like 4 or 5 of us, and we all nicked 2p, 1p, 50p. We nicked money from there. Eventually we got busted, but I denied it. However, later on, I decided to make up the negative karma, by going back to the school. This is in my adult life, and giving them like 20 quid or something, which is more than I nicked. And then also offering to do some assembly for them, where I played the guitar for free. Not on the subject of stealing, but just I offered to do that, and I did it to cancel out my kind of karmic debt to that, because I went through a period of like, oh god, negative karma, man. What did I do in the past that's all negative karma? And I went through a clearing up of karma period, a bit like My Name Is Earl. If you don't know what that is, it's a sitcom thing, American sitcom, where the guy goes around trying to cancel out all the negative karma that he's done in the past, and tries to make amends to people and stuff. Anyway, right. So I've nicked pound coins when I was a kid. I nicked chewing gum from the local Quickie Mart corner shop. And I nicked chewing gum from the local corner shop a few times when I was a kid, and I never got found out. I nicked a light bulb, a small light bulb from school, when I was a kid. I nicked coins when we were on holiday in Paris from a friend of the family's chest of drawers that were lying around, just spare change lying around. I nicked them, and I lied, and I said that I found them on the floor in Paris, on the streets. I'd found them in telephone thingies, whatever you call them, and I was going around looking in these telephone thingies. You know the payphones, and you get the change that comes back, and sometimes people do actually leave bits of change in there. True. Yeah. I think I may have nicked some money from the Outback when I worked there, but then I may have put it back in the till. I think I was going to nick it, or I did nick it and then I put it back, or I don't know. So I don't know whether I did or not. I'm not sure whether I nicked a £10 note or not. I probably did, but I don't think I did. But I might have done. But I don't know if I did or not. I can't remember. And if I did, I think I put it back the next day or something. I felt too bad about it, or maybe I just dreamed about it. I can't remember whether it was true or not. Yeah, so those are things that I have actually genuinely stolen. I've stolen a bottle of water as well, from a hotel when I went on a random adventure into a hotel just to see how far I could get into the hotel without being thrown out. And I just walked in, and I got all the way up to like a corridor where the rooms are, and there was this trolley, like a maid's trolley with different, like a room service type of trolley, I think, and it had different stuff on it. And I nicked a bottle of either still or sparkling water, and then walked back out. And yeah, for me, that was just about, oh my God, people, if you just act like you're supposed to be there, then people don't really notice that you're not supposed to be there. That works. You can get away with a lot of crime in that way. Just saying, if you want to start crime, just act like you're supposed to be there, and that you're supposed to be doing what you're doing, and that it's authorized or something, or that you have permission. If you just act that way, like it's perfectly normal, then it people don't pick up on it because they're oblivious most of the time. There you go, crime tips. Crime tips from Fieros. How to steal things, which is the obvious one. Pretend you're just doing the normal thing, and just be unobvious. So I nicked a bottle of water. I think that's all I've ever nicked. All those things I've just said was all I've ever nicked. Apart from I used to nick money from my. I used to nick money from the lunch money pot, which is this thing out there, and I still do nick money from there actually as well. If I really need it. I'm a thief, aren't I? I'm a fucking thief. I'm a long-term thief. Okay, right. So there's that. But when I was in a begging situation, I did not nick anything. I'll have you know. Man. Lunch money pot. That was from when we were in primary school. We had this little pot that Mum used to put the lunch money in, and then she would dish it out to us. And I used to nick stuff from there occasionally, and I got busted for it as well. But I haven't been busted lately for it. I nick 5p's and 10p's from there when I need to make up the extra change. I'm really desperate when I need to do that. Bloody hell. Yeah. Oh yeah, and I've nicked money from. Oh my God, I've nicked. No, I don't nick money from my mum in the car. That she's got like little coins in the car. I don't nick it from her because I give it back. Oh God, have I nicked any other things? Man, the list of things I've stolen is actually increasing, isn't it? No. Well, I mean, technically, I nicked my brother's book when I was a kid, when I was like 9 years old. I nicked a book of his, which I think it was a Postman Pat book. I nicked a book of his, and then I sold it back to him. God, so bad. I was so bad. That was bad. That was bad. Really, really bad. I should apologise to him for that again. I don't think he cares anymore, obviously, because he was 4. So what I did. This is how I pulled that one off. I nicked his book. Right. Sold it back to him by stealing £4 or £5 from his little tin or his little money drawer or whatever it was, money pot. And all of this happened without him knowing. So essentially, all I did was I took a book, I gave a book back without him knowing, and I then stole £5 without him knowing either. So that had just happened in my mind that I'd sold it back to him without him ever knowing that I'd nicked it in the first place, and not knowing that I'd sold it back to him, and not knowing that I'd stolen the money. So yeah, so that was silly. I'm a fucking thief. I was a fucking thief. I need to stop nicking coins from my mum. That'll clean up my money behaviours. Yeah, okay, fine. Okay, let's try and finish the begging story, right? So I was in this bakery place, went around the bakery, considered stealing something, and then didn't steal anything, and then got to the end of the, like, sort of this, you know, when they've got this queuing system and it takes you past various different things. I went around the queuing system, I got to the end and got to this kind of smoothie person, and I just asked him, and he seemed like he was a younger person, and he seemed more open and chilled and relaxed than the last fucking bitch in the last shop was. Fuck that person. What an arsehole. She's a bitch. She's over there now, so that's good. She's moved from that position of, you're a dick, you're an idiot. Like, I can't believe you treat people like that just for asking genuine for genuine help. You asshole, bitch. Yeah. And so I got round this bakery system, I got round the queue, and I got to the kind of fruit smoothie bit where they were making smoothies with fresh fruit. And then what? Oh, so I asked the guy if he could help me with anything, and he said, just wait there a minute. Like, I need to do it when my supervisor's not looking, or my boss is not looking, right? So I was like, oh, thank God. So I just kind of waited around the corner, like going, oh God, please don't get me in trouble. I don't want to get in trouble for anything, like, because, that's just even worse than being hungry and so on, is being arrested or whatever. Yeah. So I sat around the corner, or stood around the corner, and waited for him to bring me something. I didn't know what he was going to bring me, but he just brought me this big fat orange. It was a giant orange, possibly the biggest orange I've ever eaten. It was very big, or it might have just appeared big. I'm not sure, but it felt big, and I was very, very grateful for this orange. So I got given this orange, and I was so grateful. I just started to cry. I held this orange in my hand, and I was just like, "Oh my God, this is like a gift from God. This is the first thing I've eaten in all day, and I've gone through a pile of crap and a lot of hell to get to this, and felt like utter shit just to get this orange, and it's not even gonna, fill me up. It's an orange. It's not a meal. It's an orange." It's a big orange, but it's not a meal, it's an orange. Yet, I was so grateful. I've told this story before in another video that is now probably not available at all, actually, so why am I saying that? Okay. But yeah, so this was like the gratitude orange, which is, I suppose, this is partly why I don't believe in false gratitude or in practicing gratitude. I think, no, you don't need to practice gratitude. You need to feel gratitude because it's genuine that you feel gratitude. You feel gratitude when you're grateful for something authentically. You can't really, if you're forcing gratitude, then I just feel there's something wrong about that. Like, why aren't you already grateful, if that makes sense? Why aren't you already happy with what you're being given? That sounds prescriptive. People should be grateful already for everything in life. I don't know. But I don't like the whole gratitude thing, partly because I did a whole gratitude journal thing for ages with the law of attraction, and it was bollocks. Total and utter bollocks. They tell you to do these law of attraction things about gratitude, and when you do it, it's annoying, for one thing, to have to write your gratitude shit every day. You're like, why am I doing this? Why do I have to write this gratitude? Because I'm trying to attract things. So I'm essentially trying to manipulate the universe by writing things in a book. Essentially I'm trying to get what I want by going this roundabout way, using some mind strategy and I don't know what it is, because I've been told that if I'm grateful for things, then they'll come to me. Oh, God's sake, person. It's just weird. So I don't really believe in structuring your gratitude and forcing yourself to be grateful for things. I think that you will feel grateful when it is natural for you to feel grateful. I certainly felt amazingly grateful just for this orange because of what I'd been through to get it, what it meant to me, and how that felt was just deeply grateful. I was just so grateful that I'd been given this giant fucking orange, and it was annoying to peel, I'll tell you that much. It was annoying to peel, and I was like, oh, you grateful orange. So, oh, you're testing me now with the peeling, and I'm just crying with gratitude, and then trying to peel this damn stupid orange at the same time. So okay, well, if you're going to bring a positive spin on homelessness, then it teaches you gratefulness, certainly. Well, it taught me gratefulness, and to not take things for granted, such as eating. But did that really stick with me? Did it really or not? Did it or not? Or maybe I need to be homeless again. No, I don't need to be homeless again. I am grateful. I'm very thankful. And one of the reasons I don't want to become homeless again is because it's fucking shit to be homeless. And in the last video, I was like, it's not that bad. It is bad, and it's not bad at the same time. There are perks. There's a freedom of being homeless. You can go anywhere, and you can say anything to anyone, and you're not tied down by living in a specific place, and you're not tied down by being with specific people, and you don't have to have a job. You're free to roam. You're free to be yourself. You can be, say, do whatever within those limitations of your homelessness. But you could go wherever within that. Yeah. So I got this orange, and I was very grateful, and I ate the orange, and I can't remember what the next thing I ate was, but maybe it was a meal at Mrs. D's house. Almost said her name again then. Okay, let's round that up then. I needed to do that video because before I was just had this kind of, I've still got a bit now. It's a smoky feeling. It's like my lungs are still full of shit, and I need to express myself more and more and more and more and more and more and more. At the moment, it feels like the more I express myself, the better I feel. This is really, really good because I went through a period where the more I expressed myself, the harder it was. It was so draining to express myself because it was like I was fighting. Myself was fighting through all this emotional baggage and emotional turmoil and all the smoke feeling. And in order to get any sense of authentic expression out through all that junk, it was very draining. So I'd write like one line in my journal and then I'd be wrecked for like half an hour. And I'd have to lie down, literally that bad. Because you don't realize the amount of power that the emotional body, the emotional center, the emotional feelings that we go through can have on our body. So that was what it was like for a while. Exhaustion, complete and total exhaustion from any authentic emotional expression or just general expression. But now it's like the more I write, the more I draw, the more I do videos, the lighter I feel, the better I feel. It feels like I'm getting rid of stuff now. It's like, yeah, freedom. I'm freeing myself up by doing this. It's a gradual process, but I feel it more like yesterday. Yesterday I felt like it was the first time where I'd had a really extended period of feeling clear, bright, cheerful, like myself, back to normal. My body felt okay, happy, I suppose. Yeah, happy, bouncy, like having fun again in life. I've been so... I mean, I always have fun in life. I'm always having some fun every day. But the physicality of quitting smoking for me personally was so strong, because it was tied up with all these emotions, and it was tied up with grief. It was a massive emotional, psychological, physical response to withdrawing from cigarettes, because cigarettes was a response to withdrawing from antidepressant medications, which I was on for 5 years. So it was from one addiction to another. So I was addicted to my family, which means I was addicted to being a depressed person. I had these identities, the family role of being the depressed or ill child in a harsh, cold world, and the family had to protect me from this. So I was the lower, lesser being who had no say in the family, or very little say in the family, who no one really treated like an individual, who people were always pussyfooting around and sort of sniffing up my butt because I was always ill, and they were doing anything I fucking wanted because I was ill, right? So weird thing that. So I'd never had any sense of autonomy and sense of personal dignity by achieving things for myself. Right, and then I was addicted to medication, antipsychotic medication and antidepressant medication. I came off these two things at the same time: the addiction to the family, and the addiction or reliance upon, dependence on the family, and dependence on the medication. I came off both of those at the same time, and what I then became dependent on was cigarettes and creativity, actually, as well. I suppose you could say that. Yeah, that's a good point. Creativity. And then when I withdrew from the cigarettes, because the cigarettes in a way was a smother, and another smother, another way to smother my emotions. So I hadn't fully dealt with the emotions that were brought up by withdrawing from the antidepressants and the antipsychotic medication, or the emotions that came about from detaching my emotional self from my family, and to regain a sense of personal integrity in relation to my family and also in relation to the wider world, because I was still playing the child, depressed, subdued person in relation to everyone in the world, pretty much, apart from my brother. And even then, I would play the subdued, less than, unintelligent, subdued person in relation to my brother as well. And just in relation to pretty much everyone. I was always feeling downtrodden, feeling like I was less than everyone else in the world, because everyone else was in society and I'd been separated from society because of the things I'd been through in the mental health system, and because I was depressed, and so I was less than everyone else. So I was cut off in that sense, and I didn't have the normal life that everyone else appeared to have. Because I hadn't had a normal life, because I'd been through a very strange series of events that led to me being sectioned a couple of times, and being hospitalized and escaping hospital, and then being depressed afterwards, and all the stuff that I'm talking about had not been a normal period of life, and therefore I also found it difficult to fit in with a normal life afterwards, because I was like, this doesn't seem to make sense for me anymore, based on where I've come from and what I've been through, because I've seen so much suffering and been through so much suffering and had so many difficulties. It doesn't make sense to really re-engage with life in this normal way, whereby everyone seems to be running after things in life that I don't feel are actually important. And it was a very disingenuous thing to do, to try and enter into normal jobs and normal society and normal life, pretending to be a normal person who had never suffered any problems and who didn't have any psychological issues and who didn't have any baggage and stuff, and trying to put on the front. That was a very disingenuous thing for me, or an inauthentic thing is a better way to put it. It just felt like I was having to pretend to be this normal person who had actually been through a horrendous amount of really unnormal, difficult, traumatizing, horrendous experiences, difficult experiences, weird experiences, bizarre experiences, bizarre psychological experiences, bizarre social experiences, bizarre housing situations, off the beaten track, sexual experiences, all different kinds of things that meant when I'm trying to have a conversation with someone about what do I do, like, how's your family? My family's fucked, is the truth, or was the truth, and people want you to say, yeah, they're fine. So it was just a really inauthentic thing to re-engage with the normal working world and the normal social world for a while, because I just wasn't normal, because of what I've been through, and because of how I felt inside, and because of what I knew about life. And this normalness was just a fakery that people were putting on, and their goals are all misguided, and their understandings of life are all unclear, because they're based on faulty perceptions. They're based on conditioning that they've picked up by being taught it, but they've never really experienced what life is. And I eventually realised I don't have to fit in to the normal world. That what I've been through and what I know and what I've experienced and how I've developed is either my greatest strength or one of my greatest strengths, one of my greatest assets is my life experience. As difficult as they have been, they are what informs my, oh God, at the risk of sounding pretentious, my deeper appreciation or deeper knowledge or deeper understanding of other people and life as it is, and the ability to engage with other people on a real, authentic level that cuts through all the bullshit of the pretenses, and that just I'm able to talk to people from that deeper place of how are you, and to go beyond the I'm fine, thanks. So that's is one of my deepest assets. What I've been through. Oh God. All right. Okay. So I suppose this is a Fieros story time plus lesson time. These are lessons, life lessons learned from being homeless. Ah. Okay. All right. I think we're done. Let's chill. I'm gonna go get my wine. This is hard, man. Like after I finish these, I just want to block it out. I just want to forget about it, and I feel like I shouldn't drink to tune it out, but bollocks, I don't care. I'm gonna fucking have half a bottle of wine and rewatch it back. Thanks for watching. I hope you found that interesting or potentially valuable or whatever. I promise at some point we will get to the end of the story somehow, somewhere. We will get to the part where I actually go into the psychiatric ward, but we still got a hell of a lot to cover. I'm afraid we've got a hell of a lot to cover. The more I go into it, the more I remember other details as well. I think we're rounding up on the America side of stuff. I'll say that. There's less and less in the America story now that I haven't covered. So we'll see what comes out next. I feel like I need to talk about the muffin place again. The Muffin Man. The Muffin Man. Do you know the Muffin Man? Bye.